Citi is a very interesting credit card issuer. They're not quite as big as Chase or American Express, but they seem to be trying to become a major player. Now, they have recently discontinued one of their favorite cards for most people, but they're now kind of reissuing it, I guess. The new Strata card. Today we're going to talk about it. My name is Sean. I'm here with my co-host.
Hi everyone, I'm Sherwin, the other half of the Credit Card BS podcast. Today, all about the new Citi Strata card and why I find it quite confusing of a launch, in my opinion. As Sean mentioned, the Rewards Plus card was discontinued earlier this year. That was a no annual fee card, and its main draw was that you would get a 10% rebate on your redemption. So for example, if you redeem 100,000 points, they would put 10,000 points back into your account. You could integrate that within the whole Citi ecosystem and combining all your points. So that basically made like a 3x multiplier 3.3, 2x multiplier 2.2, etc. So when rumors of this discontinuation circulated, but before it actually got pulled, some people got this Rewards Plus card hoping that they could keep those perks. But it has now been announced that on July 20th, all Rewards Plus accounts will be converted to this new Strata card, which does not include the rebate and Roundup features. Now, if you open your Rewards Plus card between July 20th, 2024 and July 19th, 2025, you'll continue to have the Roundup feature and 10% points back until July 19th, 2026. But it does seem like this feature, for the most part, is going away in the long term.
Yeah, I find this is an interesting change. Like, for a while, it was a very unique card to have these type of features. There was really nothing on the market that kind of matched this. The rebate rate, I believe that was capped at like 100,000 points redeemed per year. So it's a maximum rebate of like 10,000 points a year. That's like a nice perk, but it's definitely not ridiculously expensive for Citi to offer anything like that. But what is interesting is the Roundup feature, right? This is a feature where, of course, Roundup essentially to like the nearest 10 points, right, Sherwin? So if you bought an item for, let's say, like $1, you would earn like 10 points on the purchase, right? And so it's interesting that it was a feature where I imagine there was kind of like two tranches of users. There are users where you are getting marginal utility because realistically, look, how many $1 purchases is the average person making, right? I mean, I'm not, unless it's like, oh, I'm going nuts on like Candy Crush and just with the in-app purchases or something. I don't imagine that like most people were getting that much like ridiculous value where you're just printing money from this card. Now, on the other hand, what there probably was happening, and I'm sure Citi probably did a lot of efforts to shut these down, but there were probably a lot of people gaming this where, go buy something for 10 cents. Oh, wow, I earned 10 points per dollar. How much is a point worth? A cent. It's like, wow, I'm just breaking even on my purchases. And so I'm sure there were people gaming it to a large extent where they're, maybe set up like auto transactions or something. But I can't imagine that like it was that hard for Citi to detect these accounts and shut them down. So it is interesting to me to like totally discontinue this feature because it actually doesn't seem that expensive, I guess. What are your thoughts, Sherman?
I mean, the Roundup, I feel like it's just a marketing gimmick for most people. It's not going to make a meaningful difference in how many points they earn, because rounding up to the nearest 10 points is like literally to the nearest 10 cents. Unless you're actually gaming it, it doesn't matter. I think the 10% points back was more interesting, personally, because it turned your, like, if Citi Custom Cash 5x, if you had those two cards together, it would be like 5.55%. 3x on Premier would become 3.33x. I thought that was more interesting. But I'm kind of glad I didn't end up getting this card since this feature is going away. It's being converted to the new Citi Strata card anyway, because I know a lot of people did that thinking it would like stick around for quite a while, but that's not the case. So let's talk about this new Citi Strata card that's coming out. Not to be confused with the Strata Premier card, which is a $95 card that has transfer partners. So this is a no annual fee card and has a 3% foreign transaction fee. So really only use it in the US. There is going to be a sign-up bonus at launch, which is going to be 30,000 points. But my guess is in the long term, they will reduce it to like 20,000 or 25,000. So they have a bunch of very interesting multipliers. So 5x on hotels, car rentals, attractions booked on Citi Travel, 3x on supermarkets, 3x on select transit and at gas and EV charging stations, X on an eligible self-select category of your choice, including fitness clubs, select streaming services, live entertainment, cosmetic stores, barber shops, hair salons, or pet supply stores, 2x points at restaurants, and 1x points on all other purchases. So, Sean, what do you think? To me, it strikes me that there's a lot of seeming overlap between these categories and the other Citi cards, especially the Citi Strata Premier. Both of them have 3x on supermarkets, 3x on gas and EV charging stations.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it seems a bit odd. I mean, these are obviously like solid multipliers for a no annual fee card. It is interesting because you could imagine where I don't think the city is targeting the, you know, the trifecta people, right? Where like, oh, I need to get the Strata Premier and the Strata, right? You can even see in the naming scheme, right? This is meant to be like an elevated version of the card, as opposed to something like with Chase, where, you know, people still harp on about the Chase trifecta, where you got to get the Freedom and the Sapphire Preferred. Where in this case, you really, you know, probably you're not going to need both. There's not really a reason to have both of these. It's meant to be an upgrade path. But because also the multipliers do kind of take away from the value of the Strata Premier, it is interesting to see. I mean, obviously, you know, with the Strata Premier, there's the transferability to airline partners and hotels and things like that. So there's the value in that sense. But it makes it kind of clear to me that like this is meant to be an evolutionary, like, you know, tier below the Strata Premier, as opposed to like a different type of product, if that makes sense.
I think that's a really good observation. Still, though, to me, it's kind of strange because I feel like Citi has a pretty neat trifecta setup that most people don't realize. If you have the double cash, it gives you 2x on everything. Custom cash, which gives you 5x category of your choice. And then the Premier, which has all of these 3x categories: restaurants, air travel, hotels, gas, supermarkets. Like you have a very good coverage, all the categories. So I really don't see how this card adds more value if you're someone already going for that type of setup. Besides maybe the 3x on transit or the eligible self-select category is also weird to me because the Citi Custom Cash already basically does that, but better. Granted, it does have a lower cap, but yeah, I still don't really see the role of this card in that setup, especially if the high overlap with the Strata Premier. Also, I don't think this is a reasonable replacement for the Strata Premier if you're looking for a travel card, especially because it has a 3% foreign transaction fee, right? So it's kind of confusing to me, you know, what role this card plays. It's sort of similar to like the relationship between the Wells Fargo Autograph and the Autograph Journey. The Autograph Journey is the $95 card that unlocks transfer partners. The no annual fee autograph card also has a lot of really decent multipliers, sort of similar to this card. So interesting to see how this plays out for Citi. Now, there's another open question, which is what the cash out cents per point will be on this cards. Sean, do you want to contextualize why we need to be talking about this?
Yeah, so like for many years, like up until very recently, all those, you know, Citi points redeemed through the like Premier card or the Strata Premier were worth 1 cent per point if you were using it for cashback, right? Very standard, unremarkable cashback rate, right? It's what Chase uses. Capital One uses it for the travel eraser, you know, close enough. Amex, not directly for statement credits, but you can like get gift cards or, you know, redeem for Schwab at a pretty similar rate. So pretty standard 1 cent Boeing per point rate. But they've just reduced it to, you know, like they're reducing it to 0.75. And
For Premier.
For Premier,
only for the Premier card.
For Premier card holders only, which is really odd because you can just transfer your Premier points to like your custom cash or your, you know, double cash and just redeem for 1 cent per point, which is odd that an annual fee card is now having a lower redemption rate than a no annual fee card. I think really the move on this is probably to just force the Citi card holder, if they want to redeem for cashback, to open a second Citi product, right? Keep them like within the Citi ecosystem a little more. That's my best guess as to like why they're doing it. Because obviously there's a ridiculously easy and free loophole to get around the lowered cashback rate. That's my best guess, but it does seem like an odd, unnecessary change in my view.
Yes. As far as I know, the transfer partners will still keep the same ratio, except for Emirates, I think, which I think recently devalued. So, you know, that's a bad sign, bad omen. But, you know, I think Citi Strata Premier is still mainly for people who want to use it to transfer points, not a cashback card. I think that's what they're signaling with this change, is that it's not a cashback card. Now, the big question is, will this new no annual fee Citi Strata card similarly jump down to that 0.75 cent per point change? And I think it's not a non-zero chance if it doesn't have the word cash in the name, like double cash and custom cash. As Sean mentioned, this seems like a lower tier version of this Strata Premier. So, and like given that there's so much overlap with the Premier card, I don't know. It's really possible for me to make a prediction, but I would just warn people, like if you're trying to get this as your only cashback card from Citi, things might change in the future about your ability to redeem those at 1 cent per point.
Yeah, I'm gonna go as far as saying my prediction is that for sure I would be very surprised if they allow the cashback redemptions on this card at 1 cent. As I said, like the naming scheme, right? It is just supposed to be like a lower tier card. It would be really odd to take something like, I understand multipliers differ between cards, but to take the actual redemption rate in the same product line and make the higher tier version have a worse redemption rate, that just seems odd to me. So I would be very surprised if you could redeem the points for 1 cent. I would predict that it's going to be the 0.75.
Yeah. I also think there's a problem with Citi in general, like in terms of people wanting to amass large numbers of points. Other than like the $95 Premier card, which usually comes with a bonus from 60,000 to 80,000 points, like all of these other cards are no annual fee. So the sign up bonuses are ranging from 15,000 to 30,000 points, and they all have like 24 or 48-month clocks. So it's really hard to mass a large number of Citi points. And like Amex, which doles out offers like Candy, or Chase, where you can run through their Ink cards, run through their Sapphire cards, and stuff like that. So yeah, I would personally really want to see Citi start having thank you point earning business cards to compete with Chase, Amex, and Capital One. All three of those have a substantial lineup of business cards, I would say, that earn transferable points. And it still puzzles me why Citi is not really focused on the business.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's interesting that, product wise, Citi as well just has so few products compared to the other banks. And like even Barclays, has like way, I mean, yeah, the products on Barclays kind of suck, but like they have way more products, right? A Capital One, yes, it's like more minimal, but like, it's like a smaller, Citi's pretty large to be having like this few of credit card offerings.
I mean, I would argue they do have a lot of credit card offerings, but too many of them are concentrated on the low annual fee or no annual fee side, right?
But even on like the business side, there's like barely any Citi business cards.
Correct. Yeah. I'm talking about, yeah, on business side, there's not enough for sure. I agree. But on the personal side, you have the double cash and the custom cash. I'm just saying the problem with those is that since there's no annual fee, it's hard to get big bonuses. And now with this new Strata card, again, it's yet another no annual fee card. I would have preferred if they invested more time and energy into launching like higher annual fee cards with higher bonuses personally than like they keep like refreshing these no annual fee cards that don't give us that much long-term value. Cool. So what are your thoughts about this new Citi Strata card? Is it as confusing to you as it is to us? Let us know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, found it useful or interesting, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. It greatly helps support us. If you're interested in opening any credit card, please consider using one of the links down in the description below. It greatly helps support the channel. And Sean, why don't you plug our Discord?
So if you want to connect with an elite group of award travelers and credit card enthusiasts entirely for free, check out the Traveling Discord at the link in the description. You will learn a ton, I promise you. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next week.